If you are ready to build your Raleigh Superbe, here are the step-by-step instructions to get you on your way. As you open the box, you'll see there are just 4 steps to get you riding. If you've never built a bike before, this may take you up to 60 minutes. If you're handy with tools, probably around 40 to 50 minutes. If you have wrenched a little before but never fully built a bike, expect about 30 to 40 minutes. And if you're an expert bike mechanic, you will probably be riding in 10 minutes. In addition to the tools included, you'll also need a crescent wrench and a 3mm hex wrench. Take all of the packing materials off the bike and be sure to save it along with the box for future shipping needs. Now turn the fork forward, making sure the cables aren't twisted around the frame and the brake is facing forward. Grab the handlebars again, making sure the cables aren't twisted. Push down on the top bolt with your thumb and slide the stem into the frame. Be sure to slide it far enough to cover the minimum insertion line. Tighten the bolt enough to hold the handlebars in place. You'll adjust their final position and fully tighten them down in just a bit. Underneath the stem is a single bolt. Loosen this bolt just enough so you can freely rotate the handlebars until they are flat. Now retighten this bolt enough to hold the bars in place. You'll also adjust their final position in a later step. Now you'll need to disconnect the front brake so you can attach the fender and slide the wheel in. While pinching the 2 brake arms towards each other with one hand, grab the silver brake noodle with the other hand and slip it out of the hinged arm. Undo the bolt that goes through the top of the fork, paying attention to the order of the bolt and washers. Put the fender in place with the tab behind the fork and slide the bolt through the fork and the tab. Place the nut in position behind the fork and tighten it down with a 4mm hex wrench and a crescent wrench. As you tighten it down, you'll want to be sure the fender is straight so it won't rub on the tire. Now attach the fender stays to the lower fork eyelets and double check all the bolts are nice and tight. To install your front wheel, it will probably be easiest for you to turn your bike upside down. Now loosen both axle nuts just enough so you can slide the axle into the fork dropouts. Hand tighten both bolts at the same time and keep an eye on the washers to make sure they are outside the fork dropouts in contact with the nuts. Now use a crescent wrench to tighten both bolts snugly. The wrench should leave an imprint on your palm when they are tight enough. To reconnect the brakes, you'll need to flip your bike back upright and put the kickstand down. Now pull on the silver brake noodle with one hand and guide the brake noodle into the slot on the hinged arm. Make sure it makes it all the way into the slot in the arm. Give the brake lever a few squeezes to make sure your brakes are working properly. Your pedals are right and left specific, so make sure you have the correct one for each side. The pedals are marked with an R and L stickers as well as having an R and L on the end of the pedal spindle. The right pedal goes on the same side of the bike as the chain and threads in clockwise, whereas the left pedal goes in on the side without the chain and threads in counterclockwise. Give them a final tightening with a pedal wrench, which will leave an imprint on your palm when the pedals are tight enough. Now you can adjust the final position of the handlebars. Step over the bike so you can visually align the handlebars and the front wheel. When you have the handlebars and the front wheel aligned, tighten the single bolt at the top of the stem. You'll know the bolt is tight enough when the wrench leaves an imprint on your palm. You'll also need to adjust the angle of the handlebars. Loosen the single bolt on the underside of the stem so you can freely rotate the bar until the top of the bars are flat. Check to make sure the bar is centered in the stem and retighten the bolt. When the wrench leaves an imprint on your palm, you'll know it's tight enough. The basket slips right onto the rear rack and can be held in place with the included hardware. Double check to make sure all the adjustments you made are tight and you are ready to head out on a ride.